Welcome to the YPO Global Conference Call, The Giving Advantage, How to Activate Giving for Exponential Success, on September 28, 2017 at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. My name is Mistin, and I will be your operator for today's call. At this time, all participants are in a listen-only mode. Later, we will conduct a question-and-answer session. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I will now turn the call over to Laura Kosh, Chair of the Social Engagement Network Council. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Today, Ammar Charani, YPO Gold Orlando and Monaco, is our guest speaker, an exceptional technology innovator. He started and seed invested in over 30 businesses that range from marketing, financial services, technology, government contracting to renewables. 4 of those companies are now YPO run. His latest startup, Purposehood, aims to help people clearly understand and state their life purpose with an app. Actually, I have personally tried this app and it works. He chairs the Social Good Ventures, which invest in technology startups that have the potential of making many, many people happier in this world. One of them you will hear today is called giveday.org, a platform that makes it easy for businesses to enhance profit by incorporating giving as a core strategy. For those who do not know Ammar, he was founding member of 11 YPO chapters on 4 continents. In addition, another contribution Ammar has made to our YPO community is the YPO Changemaker Club, an amazing platform. Ammar, born in Syria, is active with several charities that support refugees. He's also a founding member of the entrepreneurship department at the University of Central Florida, where he graduated in mechanical engineering. As well, he holds a Harvard degree in business. Ammar, thank you so much for joining us today. Now let's get started and learn more about your innovation technologies on employee engagement. Ammar.
On Tuesday, July 12, 2005, at 9:39 a.m., I died. I was 42 years old. The out-of-body image of me laying down on the tilt table at the doctor's office and watching the nurse panic is not very clear in my mind. But clearly I remember my reaction later on the afternoon when I was looking at my cardiogram. 3.5 pages of flat line. All I could think about as I stared at that long flat line, what if I never actually came back? What was the purpose of my first life? And now that I'm alive again, what's the purpose of my second life? It turned out that I wasn't the only one looking for the purpose of life, which I call purposehood, the higher purpose of life. According to Google, the search for purpose has increased by 400% in the last 10 years. These searches probably include new employees who are looking for the purpose of their life and wondering if their work at your business is contributing to their own purposehood. I believe today we have an epidemic of loss of purpose. And for those of us who think they kind of know their higher purpose, they definitely lack clarity. If I ask you now, what's the purpose of your life? Do you think you're ready to state it clearly in a sentence too? I tell you, I tried it with many of my YPO friends, and we all struggle with it. The lack of purposehood is contributing to a major problem at your workplace. According to the latest Gallup study, only 15% of employees are engaged. This is the global number. In the U.S., the number is a little bit better. It's 33% of employees are engaged. Got it, 33%. This means your beautiful business, your Mercedes AMG is moving with only 2 cylinders. and you are wondering why you are not going as far or as fast as you would like to go. Wondering why you are not getting the ROI that you are expecting. Or maybe you're getting the targeted ROI, but you had to make your own expectation, quote unquote, realistic. While in reality, you could be 21% more profitable with fully engaged employees, as we saw in the Gallup study. Well, this is not all the bad news. According to Gallup, 16% of your employees are actively disengaged, which means they are actively undermining your business. They are actively and consciously driving away customers and sabotaging the productivity of other employees. So not only you're driving your beautiful Mercedes with only 2 cylinders, but also while the brakes are on. So I don't think one could go that far with the brakes on. And how much is that costing you as a business? Well, I don't have the figures for your own business, but I can tell you it's costing the U.S. economy $605 billion a year. And hundreds of billions of dollars every year is the cost to other economies in the world. Germany, for example, 186 billion, and the UK, 112 billion. When I talk to YPOers about their employees' engagement, I find that many are investing heavily on all kinds of consultants, training, and complicated platforms. So we are aware that we have that challenge, and we are trying to solve it with all this. But when I look at the Gallup study that is showing the numbers from the year 2000, so for the past 16 years, you find that the numbers have not changed almost at all. It's still the same number of engaged employees, disengaged employees, and actively disengaged employees.
Wow.
So it's...
This is amazing statistics. And Ammar, I really know how many companies are investing in employee engagement. So why are these solutions that everybody is investing in not working?
Well, great question. I mean, I did lots of study and research on that, and what I found is that most of these, systems that we have there, they are, complicated, they are time-consuming, and they are unnatural for the workplace. And these solutions, they try to create experiences for employees similar to what they want to experience in their own free time, at their own home, and with their own community. So we try to extend the employee's personal life into work. While actually all the employees want is to have work that adds meaning to their life, a work that moves them closer to their own purposehood. What I will attempt in the next 20 minutes is to share a very simple and cost-effective approach to substantially increase employee engagement, productivity, and growth. So here we go. It's simply about igniting a giving culture in your organization. So Professor Porter, the father of business strategy at Harvard Business School, calls it creating a shared value. The core of his work is that it's not enough for your business to have a business purpose to engage stakeholders. What you need is to have a shared purpose, in this case with your employees, to achieve the full potential of your business. Only when your employees move towards their own purposes while working for you, your business will realize its full potential.
Ammar, this sounds really kind of complicated. If every employee has their own high purpose, how could I create a shared purpose in my organization when I have so many employees? Is there a common thread in all purposehoods?
Great question. So I tell you who else asked that kind of question. So this question was asked by Aristotle, the greatest Western philosopher. So that's something that now you and Aristotle asked that question. And he asked, what is the ultimate purpose of a human existence? So think about it for a second. Everybody just to think about it for a second. What's the ultimate purpose of a human existence? What do you think, Laura?
Well, it's having a really happy family with everybody in harmony and creating good to my environment and my community.
Sounds pretty good, actually. But what he said is that when you ask people this question, different people will have different answers. But if you ask them why, if I can ask you, why did you want that? And if you keep asking why, that you find at the root of all the answers, there's one core desire, which is happiness. At the end, everybody wants to be happy. So I spent years in my second life contemplating on the meaning of happiness. I found that many people, including myself, for 42 years of my first life, don't fully understand the nature of happiness. I, as many others, confuse happiness with pleasure as is defined in the dictionary. I thought that by building successful, profitable business, I will forever be happy. Or perhaps, as a dear YPOer once told me, the one who dies with the most toys wins. So I almost did, actually. So I pursued those various objects and goals only to discover that the joy did not last for long. And I needed to set new goals to achieve, hoping that if I did, they will make me happy again. Of course, those new goals came with a new stress and new anxiety. What I found out in my second life is that happiness is not a pleasure to be pursued, but a state of peace, fulfillment, and joy that can only be received. You see, the universe around us is constantly broadcasting happiness. We just haven't been able to tune in to receive it. Once you tune in, there's no limit to the amount of happiness you can receive, regardless of the challenges in your life or the ups and downs. Now, how do you tune in to the happiness forecast? The way to do it is by continuously moving towards your purpose, your higher purpose, even if with a small step. And the simplest step forward to activate purposehood and to receive happiness is through giving. So giving is the most basic shared value among all people and among all your employees. So I hope that answers your question, Laura, because yes, it sounds like it's complicated to figure out all your employees, the individual higher purpose, and then create the common denominator in there and figuring out what is the shared purpose that we need to do with the company employees. But actually, if you think about it and you go through this logic of happiness and happiness ignited by giving, you'll find that giving is the common denominator of all purposes.
Hey, Ammar, when you say company giving, when I hear that word, I always associated company giving with donations, especially here in the United States. So what can you tell us more about it, and how does it work?
Well, I mean, giving is not only, definitely it's part of it, is giving to charity or giving money or companies giving that, but it's actually more than that. So there are three areas of giving. So and they are in this importance level. So the first one is the most important, the second, and so on. So the first one is giving time. So when you give, even if it's a smile, just a smile. So just taking the time to actually smile at somebody that you don't know or at an employee at work will actually change their life, at least for that day or that moment. The second one is giving wealth. So even if it's just a cup of coffee, and it doesn't have to be something huge, just offering somebody a cup of coffee could make a huge difference in their life and yours. And giving thoughts, which is, it could be even just small prayers that you say to somebody or include them in your own prayers, or a thought of a gratitude for something that they've done or you wished for them. So these three areas of giving that you need to think about. And actually, to become a conscious giver, you need to do three things. One is, which I call them GIB, G-I-B. And that's why we have Give Day, GIB Day. So the three things that, that are important is you need to give daily. So giving is not, an occasion once a year that, okay, today I decide I want to become a giver. You need to give to become a daily giver, even if it's only just to say thank you. And you need to give intentionally with awareness. So if somebody is helping a lady cross the street because, they would like for her to include them in her will, that's not giving. That's not helping. You need to have the right intention and the awareness, to do that. And you need to give value, not the things that you want to get rid of or time that you want to waste. It needs to come from your valued time and your valued possession when you want to give it away. But it is really actually simple. It sounds like, different step, but it's much simpler than that. You actually, and almost everyone, of us, is already a giver. You already give daily and you give value. You are giving time, wealth, and thought at home. Yet you don't even think about it as giving. But to be conscious giver, you need to think about doing what you are doing at home, not for your own sake, but for the sake of the others. For example, like preparing food for the kids. You prepare it not because it's a duty, but because they are young beings that require nourishment. You walk the dog, not because it's a nice exercise for you, but because the dog is a being that enjoys the walk. You water the plants, not because you enjoy greenery, or because it's a chore, somebody has to do it, but because it's a living being that is thirsty. So having the right intention in there, you do it for the kids, you do it for the dog, you do it for the tree, not for yourself. And with that, you become true giver and you become a conscious giver. And a family won't survive. Any family will not survive without at least one giver. But if a family has everybody is a giver, then the whole family will thrive. So this transformational power of giving that we see it in those families that everybody is a giver, sadly does not transfer to the workplace. So Professor Adam Grant of Stanford, the foremost authority on organizational psychology, found in his research that organizations have only 25% givers. Only 25% givers. The rest are what he calls matchers and takers. So takers are those self-serving employees who sometimes seem to be productive, but they are mainly there to advance their own agenda, regardless of what ultimately best for the company or other employees. He found that those takers ultimately sink companies, especially if they are in managerial positions. And it's very interesting when you look at the graph, for those people who are able to see the graphs that and the presentation that is playing. When you look at the number of takers in his study, 19%, they almost match exactly the number in the Gallup study of the actively disengaged employees. So what Professor Grant concluded, and others like Jim Stingle of Procter & Gamble and the author of the book Grow, is that companies with giving cultures not only survive in hard, but also thrive to become 4 times more successful than their competitors. So your goal as a leader should be to ensure that everyone in your company is a conscious giver. With 20 years of Gallup study, so Gallup been running this important study for 20 years now, trying to measure employee engagement. They're trying to figure out what are the main categories that actually tell you that employees are engaged. So they developed these 12 elements to ensure that to ensure that there is an engagement and to measure that engagement. And when you read those in the report, you find that 10 of these elements are related directly or indirectly to have a given culture. For example, I'll read for you just a couple of them. So in a question 4, it says, in the last 7 days, I have received recognition or praise for doing good work. Question number 5. My supervisor or someone at work seemed to care about me as a person. I mean, all these are just traits of givers. And if you go through the rest of them, you'll find it's the same.
Ammar, this is really interesting. Can
Yeah.
you explain in further detail about the giving culture and why it's so effective?
Well, it's actually much simpler than you think, because it's part of our genetic and human build. So I will give you 3 reasons, and there are actually much, much more, but I'll just, give you the 3 that I think will just convey the picture, because the first one is, we are naturally, in our genetics, we are built with a part that wants to give. So Richard Dawkins, the famous author, when he wrote his book, The Selfish Gene, most selfish capitalists loved it. They found in it justification for being selfish in business. So what Dr. Dawkins had to do, he had to create a BBC documentary, which is very fascinating. It was in the 80s, so I'm sure you can find it on YouTube, to explain that those people, must have not even read his book. He showed how genes are built to also be altruistic in many cases to ensure the survival of the collective pool of genes, even if it meant their own individual demise. And he gave lots of examples from nature, and we can see that countless cases in nature where, even an animal or plant will sacrifice for the collective good. So it's built in our genes. And the second one is because it's in our brain. It's hardwired in our brain. So with fMRI, neuroscientists were able to show that giving activates the same areas of the brain that are activated when we are happy. And the third reason, because it's in our hormones. So biologists found that giving releases endorphin and dopamine. So hormones that translate into pleasure, happiness, and feeling of peace. And by the way, those hormones are addictive. So giving has also been linked to the release of oxytocin, a hormone which is also released to sexual activity or during sex. So it induces feeling of warmth, euphoria, and connections to others. So in studies by Paul Zag, the director of the Center of Neuroeconomics at Claremont University, he found that those people on oxytocin high can potentially jumpstart a virtuous circle when one person's generous behavior triggers another. So yes, scientists found that giving is addictive and contagious. So when you ignite giving in your organization, you will spread all kinds of giving within your organization and beyond. Also, when we give, we don't only help the immediate recipients of our gift. We spread giving through our community and workplace. A study by James Fowler of the University of California shows that when one person gives, it inspires observers to give later toward different people. The researchers found that giving could spread by 3 degrees. So from one person to person to person to person. They said, quote, each person in a network can influence dozens or even hundreds of people, some of whom he or she does not even know.
This is really fascinating. So giving actually creates a domino effect without even doing it on purpose. So it's a wonderful initiative.
Absolutely. And you see that actually, like even in families, right? Like when you teach your kids to be givers, then all of a sudden, all their friends, the friends around them, they become givers, and they're always connecting with these good people. So, and when your employees become actually conscious givers at work, they will also become conscious givers at home and in their communities. They will not only be better employees, but also be better parents, better spouses, and better friends. Everybody wants to be with a giver. Nobody wants to be with a taker. So the impact of your business will be exponential in every way. So probably by now you must be asking, how do I ignite giving in my organization?
Yes, we want to go to the meat of the question here, or to the tofu of the question for the vegetarians.
Well, you can tell probably that I love research. I love research, and I like to see how they use the science and the knowledge in real experiments, and how they develop out of that experiences that we can actually use in our lives and our work. So I'm going to tell you how, but I'm going to disappoint you a little bit by giving you a little bit more research, just a little bit more. So let me start by assuring you that it's easy and it's not costly. So it's not that complicated to ignite giving or create a giving culture in your organization. And it's not costly at all. And I'll show you some examples here. So Professor Michael Norton, one of the top authorities on employee incentives and performance, thought if the ultimate purpose of human existence, like Aristotle said, is happiness, maybe if we can make happiness a commodity, then we can simply just buy happiness with money, which is pretty fitting for a Harvard business professor. So he asked, can money buy happiness? What do you guys think? I mean, what do you think, Laura? Do you think money can buy happiness?
Not really. I think, I know that money can't buy anything. So many people in YPO have a lot of money, and sometimes they're not too happy. And I know many rich people who are not too happy. So I'm sure you can give us some light on this.
Well, actually, I'll let Michael Norton give you light on that. So what he did, he actually ran an experiment, and that's the way to verify, whatever opinions that we have is by running like a real experiment. So what he did, he measured the level of happiness of a group of students, and then they asked them to pick an envelope from a basket and follow the instruction inside those envelopes. And he told them that he will measure their happiness after they executed their assigned task. So the envelope had a small amount of money, but half of them, they were instructed, the instruction were that the students will take that money and buy something for themselves. The other half had the instruction to donate the money to a charity of their choice or buy a gift for somebody else. When he later measured again their happiness level, he found that the giver group were much happier than the selfish group. So he thought maybe it was because these students were in the U.S. and small amount of money did not really matter for them. So he ran the same experiment in 132 countries, including some of the poorest countries in the world. The results were the same, exactly the same. The people who gave away the money were much happier. So he wondered if this would work on employees. So he picked the toughest category of employees to test giving with, which is, as all of us know in our organization, it's salespeople. So he took a group of highly incentivized salespeople and assigned for them a similar task. Everybody in the group did the similar task that would increase sales, like making an extra call for a potential customer. The incentive was small, $15 for each task completed. So one group, though, was instructed that they keep the money for themselves, like most incentives that we give today at our work. And the other group had to give away the money to their favorite charity or buy a gift for somebody else. What he found out was shocking. The sales results for the giver group was 20 times higher than the selfish group, 20 times. But that's not all. He also found that happiness, mentoring, collaboration, and productivity also increased in the giver group. So the conclusion of all this research is that you can ignite a giving culture in your organization by simply introducing giving rewards, where employees can direct these rewards to causes of their choice or help other people. It's really that simple. And you probably saying to yourself, I mean, I'd love to try that, but I don't have a budget for giving. Well, even though in other research that I did not share with you here, but I'm happy to share another time, they showed that for every dollar you invest in giving incentives, you get back $5 in increased revenue. So every dollar invested in here, I mean, it's one of the best investments. So you invest $1 in giving incentives, you get back five times. I would like to have something like that of my portfolio, but you actually, don't even need to add new money to your budget. So all you need to do is to rearrange some of your already budgeted giving, CSR, employee engagement, the human resources, PR, and events budget, and just take a small part of that and direct it towards giving rewards. So an example of that is an example that Professor Norton gave, which is the National Bank of Australia. What they did, they tested by dividing part of their annual charitable giving on randomly selected employees, and they gave them a small, gave them $100 each to give to any charity of their choice. After making the donations, these employees not only felt happier, but also reported increased job satisfaction on a follow-up survey. So I will end with this final example that I'm personally familiar with. So one, it's a fellow IPOer, Gene Brown, the founder and CEO of the Citibank company in Ireland. Gene took the amount of money they used to give annually to a charity chosen by the board. And they've done that for many, many years. So when he heard about this, he said, you know what, I'm going to try it in my company. So what he did, he divided that amount, the same amount that they used to give every year, he divided that amount by the number of all his employees. So this way, allocating for each employee an amount that they can give to a charity of their choice. But then what he did, he divided that amount by 52 weeks. So each employee will have a chance weekly to give something to the charity of their choice. And then he sent a letter to all his employees telling them that from now on, they will give on behalf of the company and ask them to nominate the charity for their choice. He used an extremely simple cloud-based social enterprise platform that automates the whole process called Give Day, which, to be fully transparent, I'm a proud investor in. So every employee gets an email every Tuesday till today, till now. Every employee gets an email every Tuesday morning saying, today is our Give Day. Here's a $5 from the Citibank company for you to direct to a charity of your choice. And once the employee clicks on the link and donates the company's money to his or her charity of choice, the employee gets immediately a thank you email from the charity. And their picture and contribution shows up on a leaderboard with the other employees. So they have an exposure of what other employees are interested in, and they show the other employees the causes that they care about. So a year and a half later of using this technology and this platform, the employees are still fully engaged in this giving program. And the Citibank company is still one of the best run companies in Ireland, according to Deloitte. So like in the previous case, that Professor Norton gave in the Australian bank, giver employees reported here a higher happiness and job satisfaction. But there were three unintended results from this simple automated program that Gene implemented. So as the employees shared with their families and on social media the contributions and the thank you messages that they received from the charity, people in their circles became interested to work for the company. So recruiting talent, especially the high-valued givers, became much easier. Secondly, the 36 causes, they used to give to one cause every year, just do like some PR announcement, but now with the engagement of the employees selected three 36 local causes. So with these 36 local causes that the employees chose, every time they get a contribution from the city bin through one of the employees, they talk about it to their followers, to the cause's followers and supporters. So which made those followers great potential customers for the company because they already heard the great things about the City Bing company. And thirdly, the media picked up on the story, and the articles written created a great goodwill exposure for the company and its reputation. So the feedback from employees has even been more amazing, actually, when you take, and I'll share just with you one employee that Jean shared with me. So this employee wrote that 2 years ago, she said, 2 years ago, my charity helped my mom with her cancer. Last year, when my mom passed away, our family wanted to give back to the charity, but we didn't have much to give. The Give Day program gave us a chance to pay back. That's why I love working for the City Bing company and love working for you. Very, very hard. Hard. He didn't even know. He told me I didn't even know that actually this employee went through something like that until there was an occasion with this giving that actually she shared with them, which brings this personal moment and connections and create that culture of giving in this organization. So what I want to say here in summary and leave you with this, to think about is that we all know that we have a serious problem with disengaged employees, especially when they don't find purposehood in their work. And the solution to create is to create a giving culture. So creating a giving culture is not hard because once you ignite giving, it becomes addictive and contagious. And to ignite giving easily, use simple cloud platforms and technologies and smartly rearrange your current budget. And I will leave you with one of my favorite stories because I love to tell this story by the famous Professor Clay Christensen from Harvard Business School, who spoke to us one time at the YPO Harvard program. He told us that once he was a CEO of a company, and he would come early in the morning and sit in his corner office, and he would see this lady employee coming in early in the morning full of energy. At the end of the day, he watched her leaving drained of energy. And all he can think about all the time, he said, I kept thinking how lucky we are as a company to have such a dedicated employee who gives us all her energy and gives everything that she's got while she's working. And then he said, one day as I saw her leaving, I wondered, and I saw her drained of energy, walking back to her car. And he said, I start wondering what impact would that have actually on her kids, on her husband, on her community when she got home at the end of the evening. So he said, it dawned on me that my responsibility as a leader is to ensure that all employees leave at the end of the day with the same level of energy they came with or higher. Think about that. Our duties are as leaders is to make these employees even better back home. And when they are better back home, they give even more to the organization. So our duty, I repeat this, he said, we figured out that our duty as a leader is to ensure that all employees leave at the end of the day with the same level of energy they came with or higher. And you can only do that, my friend, when you ignite a giving culture.
Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ammar. This is such a simple tool, and it's pretty easy, and not really costly, I think. No, we'd like to open the line to questions. So please, operator, can you instruct the audience how to do so?
Certainly. To join the question queue, you may press star, then 1 on your telephone keypad. You will hear a tone acknowledging your request. If you are using a speakerphone, please pick up your handset before pressing any keys. To withdraw your question, please press star, then 2. We can pause for just a moment as callers may like to join the queue.
So while operator adjusts the equipment, please, Ammar, I have a question. Please, can you tell us how actually easy is to implement Give Day? Because, as you know, YPO is like things that are easy and not complicated.
Yeah, I agree with that. Including myself, I don't like anything complicated. So it is actually super, super easy. It's even a YPOer can do it. They don't need to pass it on to the tech geniuses in their organization. It's basically 3 simple steps. You just upload your name and logo on the platform. It's a cloud-based platform. You put the amount that you would like each employee to direct to the charity of their choice, and then you just upload the employee's email. That's it, and you're done. And if you want, you don't need even to touch it anymore. And automatically it runs that, runs the collection, has the leaderboard, etc. So it cannot be any easier than this, and it's pretty simple.
So I have a few questions, but I have a burning question. How much does it cost? And then we'll go to a few questions on the line.
Well, actually, when it was set up, it was a social enterprise. So the purpose of it is to make it available to as many people as possible, to help people ignite giving in their organization easily. So there is a freemium of this whole platform. So people don't need to pay anything. They could just simply go there and just use it like Gene does. So it's free. It's a free in that sense. Now there is a more complex option where you can customize like 20 different things in that if you want something like that. But the basic one is the 3-step. It works, perfectly. It delivers similar results. That's what I spoke about here, and it doesn't cost.
Ammar, can you hear somebody is really eager to know the exact name to go into the website? Can you tell us where we have to go to look for this app?
Yes, it's a cloud-based platform. This particular one is not an app, not like the Purposehood that you tried, Laura. So this one is Give Day, G-I-V without the E, because these 3 areas of giving daily, giving intentionally, and giving value. So givday.org. givday.org. And actually, if you go to, I don't know if you can see my screen here, but if you go to my family office website, which is socialgood.ventures, you will have it as one of our companies in there, and you could also access it from there.
So
and you will see actually some other things, interesting things that also work on the same giving concept for different things. Yes.
Okay, I have another question here from California. It says, "It's just so Give Day is just for employee engagement. How I would love to use this for my in-laws to give back."
I don't know about the in-laws, but I tell you that no, it's not. I mean, it doesn't have to be just for employees. I mean, it's really about igniting giving with anybody, and I think it's fantastic to use it for your family and to engage your friends with your own giving. I actually just started doing that myself, like a few months ago. I set up my own personal Give Day in there, and the amount of money that I usually give, I just put it there on the platform. I start inviting my friends to direct, $20 from my money to the charity of their choice. But I listed my favorite charities on the top, hoping that they will actually get exposure to something that I care about, and maybe they get involved with those. And just maybe also they would like to, that will become contagious and they will start their own. So I think, yes, this tool it's a great and that's where we tested it mainly is with employee engagement, but it does work, for families. You could use it for, I know that Give Day, they used it during events. So they used it during the Super Bowl. They did it with some other major events, and they saw that the engagement of the participants was 4 times higher than normal engagement that they used to get, and much more sharing on social media. So the whole concept, like we saw from the biology, psychology, hormones, it works on everybody. So I'm sure if you do it with a good intention, it will even work on your in-laws.
Okay. Well, in my case, actually, I have done every Christmas, I give everybody amount of money to donate to Kiva, and that is a micro-lending to all my extended family. So many get that. But this is once a year. But what I like about your concept is that it's every week. So how does this every week thing change habits about giving that is such an important value for ourselves and our family and our community?
Well, I mean, as you saw in the research, I mean, it's all in the hormones, right? So it's the addictive part of it, you know. So if you actually create if you create a habit of doing a daily good, and you know, with this type of giving, if you just, instead of doing it just one time a year, if you take the exact same amount that, you know, you're giving during this Christmas or whatever that you do, if you take it and you break it on a longer period of time and make it habitual, it will work on your brain, it will work on your hormones, and it will just make it create a habit. I mean, everybody wants to be happy. And if they are experiencing that happiness and they experience it often, then they will continue being that way. And the beautiful thing about it, I mean, again, you know, I want to say the money part is just because it makes it's the easiest, and it's the one that is being tested by science, that it works, and it's easy to put it on a platform. But, you know, that is just a training, just like you train your kids. You know, when you want to train your kids to become givers, what you do, you just give them a small amount of money, and you say, here, give it to this street artist, and give to this shelter, and so on. You know, that makes a giver out of them. They become more conscious of everything around them. You know, that, like we saw with the other research, it creates mentoring, collaboration, you know, confidence, gratitude, etc. So, yeah, I mean, from all the research that I've seen, you know, it's better to do smaller and more repetitive giving than just to do it one time. And one time, maybe at that moment, you will feel better if you give something big. But I think from a psychology point of view and from training point of view, it's better to be consistent even if it's little.
So I have another question here that says, can you share how did you start your giving journey? Why are you here? What are you doing? Why are you in this situation in your life, other than, you know, your personal journey in your hospital experience? But why business you got involved in the giving?
Well, okay. Well, I don't think we have enough time to go through the whole thing, but I'll give you the summary. I mean, when I started, you know, businesses, I was like 28 years old, and I wanted, you know, I caught on to this idea of what they call today cause marketing. I was trying to help a local school in Orlando, Florida, and I thought maybe if, you know, all the community, if we go and use our collective purchasing power and buy from a particular company, then we can, and agree with the company that they will give something back to the school, then we will be able to help the school raise funds without having to beg for money all the time. So I contacted AT&T, and AT&T said, well, I mean, we cannot do it just for one school. You know, would you set up a company to do it nationwide? So I set that up, you know, not knowing what I'm getting myself into. But what was unique about that is that, you know, all the people that we had working there, we never measured or looked at things from a dollar perspective. So if we were not like looking at, you know, dollars or number of sales, maybe because I studied engineering, I didn't study business. You know, so maybe if I studied business, I would have put all these different parameters that measured dollars, etc. But actually, we just measured everything by impact. We were looking at what impact are we making for the community, for the schools. And people, we did not call them sales, we called them engagement with the school. So when somebody switches to AT&T, it was, great, today I got another supporter to help this particular school. So salespeople felt a purpose in their life, at their work. And I can tell you, what Professor Christensen talked about, I felt it every single day there. I mean, the energy at the end of the day was just amazing, as maybe more than when we started the day. Now, what happened with that company is that without really any experience, big business experience on my side, besides just small things that I started while in college, in 1 year, we grew to over 1,000 employees, and we were doing $300 million in sales. So, and I attribute that to that giving culture that we created in there. I mean, everybody had a purpose. So that's what got me into this. And but I have to say, this is the great story. But what led to, my moment of death and later on is that I think, during the way after that, during that period was extreme happiness, regardless of all the troubles that we had in there. But now when I reflect on it, at some time after that, when it became a great success, and you forget the why you started. You forget your purpose. You forget your higher purpose. And I say that's because probably I did not have the clarity of my purposehood. I did not clearly define what my purposehood was. I had an intention for giving, but nothing specific. So, which then led me into getting into just different businesses and lack of focus, which led to having, the anxiety and the stress that led to that July 12th moment.
That's interesting. We don't have that much time left, but I know you're writing a book at this point, and I know you're trying to keep it secret, but I just want to know if you can give us the gist of what you're writing about, because we're going to look out for that book.
Well, it started as just writing something on the experience and the process that I went through myself. I mean, on that day, July 12th, one of the things that kept coming to my head, something that Socrates said, the father of Western philosophy. He said that the unexamined life is not a life worth living. So I kept thinking that, I gotta create, and I'm an engineer, so by study and by thinking, so I like things in process. So I wanted to create a process that helped me, what I call to examine my past and design my future so I can live a better now. So I worked for the last 12 years on this process that basically starts with an easy methodology to create, to identify your purposehood, by clearly stating it in one sentence, and then activating that by one simple thing that you can do every day, and then continue living and expanding with that practice in 5 areas in your life, which I'll just count them quickly and we'll stop. So the first one is in the area of belief. The second one is mindfulness. The third one is giving, which this talk is one small segment of that area of giving. The fourth one is wellness, and the fifth one is belonging. So, the book hopefully will be sharing my learning and my experience and what worked for me, and the whole methodology on how to examine your life, how to examine your past, design your future so you can live a happier now.
So that's great. I have a last question that says, a few weeks ago at YPO Barcelona Leadership Conference, our YPO current chair, Randy Waterfield, said, YPO is about making our world a better place. Can you comment on this related to your passions of giving and purposehood?
Well, I mean, if you think about YPO, actually, in general, the culture in YPO, I mean, we have an amazing culture of giving. I mean, look at how many hours we volunteer in different roles. I mean, none of these roles we actually get paid for. We pay for them. We pay to be there. So I think we have an amazing culture of giving, culture of sharing information. I mean, the forum. Just think about the forum. That's an amazing way to give. We go, we dedicate the time and the effort and money. So we do everything, and we intentionally and so on to be there and to be present for other YPOers, so we can listen to them and give them our thoughts and reflections on what they say. So we have this amazing culture of giving already, I think, in YPO. And what I would love to see is that we actually take that and ignite that culture of giving, or that that ability to give, ignite that in our own businesses and in all our own families. I mean, imagine we have, I think collectively in YPO we have like around 5 million employees. I mean, imagine if we ignite giving in 5 million employees, and knowing how contagious is that, they take it back to their homes, to their communities. We truly we can make a huge difference in the world. We could truly change the world. So that's how I would reflect on that statement. And I think, it's a great statement to understand that we could and we are able to change the world as YPOers.
Yeah, it's actually, the statistic is 15 million, combined employees is 15 million plus employees.
Okay, so it's going to be 3 times faster to change the world than I thought. So with 5 million employees, I thought we could change the world. Now with 15 million, we probably could do it 3 times faster. So
this is fantastic. So Ammar, do you have a few closing remarks for today?
Well, I just would like to thank everyone for giving me the time. So this is you're being a giver, giving me the time to share my passion and learning with you, and I hope that you find somewhat, I said, beneficial to apply in your life and business. And please, I have my screen in there, but please feel free to reach out to me if I can help you in any way, or if you'd like access to more research on a particular program, or ideas to use in your companies, or you want a sounding board, on how to ignite giving in your particular organization, or something that you're already doing that is working. I would love to hear about it. So please feel free to email me, call me. I love YPO, and I love hearing from YPOers. So I say that, and the last thing that I will leave you with, I mean, if there's one thing that you need to remember out of this talk, is remember that it's easy to ignite a giving culture. It's easy to ignite a giving culture.
Thank you so much, Ammar, for the depth of your insights. Really, I think we with your inspiration, YPO and many of YPOers really can change the world, as Randy said a few weeks ago. So to conclude, I want to give a few housekeeping comments about the upcoming GCCs by the Social Engagement Network. And the theme is, as you know, innovation tools for employee engagement. The next speaker is October 12th, and is Brandon Dusty, and he is from Gallup. And the title of his call is "What Came First: The Engagement Customer, an Engaged Customer, or the Engaged Employee?" And then comes Marisa Lasso, our very good friend, who will talk from Mexico. She will talk about engagement employee advantages for the company and the bottom line. On January the 18th, Paul Hawkins has written a book called Drawdown, and he combines employee engagement and climate change improvements. Then on January 25th, Vicky Mayo, Dream and Stress Management, Innovation Tools for Improving Productivity. And February the 8th, Ammar Kafir, Employee Engagement and Effective Communication. Thank you all for your interest in Ammar Charani's journey to make our world a better place. Thank you, everybody.
This concludes today's conference call. You may disconnect your lines. Thank you for participating, and have a pleasant day.